Well, hello, Joel and Luke. I'm Stephanie from Radio Maria, and thank you so much for coming on to talk about your new movie, Unsung Hero. I watched it and absolutely loved it. Really inspiring story, inspiring testimony of your family, and brought tears to my eyes. I would love to know a little bit more about the process of making it and why you decided to make it at a time like now.
Yeah. Well, it's obviously it's the definition, Stephanie, of a passion project for both Luke and me. It really circles around our parents', I don't know, origin story, if you will. Dad being a concert promoter in Australia and bringing a bunch of artists down there and bands down there, being very successful at it, and then sort of almost overnight losing everything. What would be the equivalent of $500,000, so the house and the car and the life savings and so on, and then chasing a dream. He and Mum agreeing to move continents from Australia to the United States with 6 kids. She was 6 months pregnant, 16 suitcases, only to arrive and then lose that job. And so we really banded together. It's a story about miracles and mums and music, not a 90s music, and about the community and the church really rallying around us as a family. But more than anything else, I think we're both really proud, and part of the reason we felt we needed to bring it to life is this is a story about the family. This is a story about mums. This is a story about overcoming. So we've always prescribed to this idea that the closer you get to your own heart with creativity, the further it reaches out into someone else's. And this film is about as close to home, literally and proverbially, as we could possibly get.
Well, of course, because it's about your family, and yet it does touch all those that watch it. I mean, it touched my heart. I could relate to it because my family have been through similar things. So it was very relatable and very inspiring that you were so involved as a family in it as well. Obviously, Joel, you played your father in it, and you also co-wrote it and co-directed. That is amazing. And producing it, Luke, that is incredible to be able to get the funding and everything together. So obviously, Power of Prayer and Thanksgiving was featured in the movie, and I feel like there were also miracles in this production of the film. Can you speak to me about maybe a few stories that came up?
Yeah, I mean, look, the two most obvious miracles at the front end of this making of this movie were this. I had actually pitched this idea to a friend of mine, a producer friend, and he basically on the phone call was like, "Yeah, let's do it." And so we go through the whole process of developing the script and all the different things. And about 2 months before we go into production, they actually back out of the financing for this project. And so usually financing falling through 2 months before filming, it usually means your film is going to be postponed. And then in some cases, it may never actually get made. The first miracle was this. I think we made 2 or 3 calls the following week. And I think we had our funding back with verbal commitments in 3 days. That was the first thing that we were like, oh, this film really, really, really needs to be made. It's one thing to have an idea, but sometimes I think you need to have little checkpoints along the way that you go, oh no, it's not just me wanting to make this. There's something else going on here. The second of which was this, to find Daisy Betts, who plays our mother. We literally looked through, I think, every Australian actress of about the age of 35 and 45 in all of Australia. And ironically enough, found Daisy, who was vacationing at the time with her family. And we get on a phone call, get on a Zoom, have a chat. And we're like, hey, what do you think of this? And she's just a delight and excited about, potentially working together. Well, she only agrees to officially come on and play the role 10 business days before we actually start filming. So, those are just 2 examples of the insanity of trying to make a movie, and also the insanity of the purpose and the need, I think maybe for this story to be made right now.
Well, yes, there's a real need, and it shows the power of family, the power of prayer. And just in those 10 days, that is an amazing turnaround, I think, for an actress. So her portrayal of your mother was incredible. And also to play alongside Joel, what was that like playing your father, doing all the research? And you, it was almost like reliving it because you were both quite young, weren't you, when the family moved? So what was that?
You touch on something really insightful, Stephanie, and that is we were so young when we lived it. So we sort of had this adventurous mindset, there's no furniture in the house, and we weren't like, we're poor. We were like, we get to play cricket in the house. So like, we didn't have any money. Instead of being like, we don't get to go, oh, woe is us, we don't have any money. It was like, we get to stay home and homeschool and like band together as a family. And so to re-image it, I think for both of us, particularly for me in playing dad, to drop into his shoes, or more specifically his actual jacket, like the jacket I wear was his jacket from 30 years ago, to drop into his world, into his insecurity and pride and his, compounding failure, was really, it was eye-opening to say the least. The amount of empathy, our parents are still with us, the amount of empathy I feel for him now as a man is really outrageous. And not to mention just really trippy, because it's like, I am dad, but I am Joel, but there's a young actor playing Joel, and this is my mum, but it's not my mum, but I have to kiss my mum. I mean, it's just the mind bender of the production was kind of, the multiverse was in full swing for sure. But I kind of wouldn't have had it any other way. It was one of the first things when Luke came with the idea. I thought that'd be really interesting to actually play our dad. Yeah.
And it came across really well, and we felt every single emotion that your father went through. And I think they're really relatable topics at the moment. People go through, loss, depression, and we've all been there at the bottom. And it's amazing how our Lord brings us out with prayer. And your mum, incredible testimony, your mum driving through the family. So both your parents obviously are still with you today, and I'm sure they're big influences still in your life. What has their take been on the film when they saw it?
Yeah, look, I think that they, mom was pretty emotional when she watched it. I think my dad is as well. I mean, look, our dad is, going to be 75 this year. The likelihood that he's going to go to therapy to work through some of the things that story tells is pretty unlikely. And this has kind of become his therapy. He's watched it. I mean, literally, we did a Christmas tour here in the States, and we would do screenings earlier in the day before basically every performance in that local community. And he would go and then come up at the end and talk a little bit about it. He watched the movie every single day. We would come and intro it and leave. He would be there and stay and watch it. So literally, he's probably seen it than any person actually on planet Earth, truthfully, as far as from beginning to end in its complete form. Because he's probably watched it 23, 24, 25 times. And so I think his take on it was, I think it's been very healing for him.
Yes.
I think my mom's take would be, if her story and her life can be of any use to someone else, then they can have it. And I think that my mom is, our mom is a very meek, a very, humble person, not very, and I think that one of the things that I've loved about this film is, I think a lot of people think you have a microphone in your hand, a platform to talk from, an audience that's listening to change the world, to impact the world. And the truth is, what I've seen is the people that do the unseen things, they are the ones who are legitimately changing generations. And I think for a story like our mom, who tells that, I think that she was humbled by it, but also I think that she's like, hey, you can have my story.
Yeah, that's beautiful and very, very, very humbling. And it is true, there's many unsung heroes out there. Many are mothers, some are fathers, and they have incredible things to give our world and amazing blessings. And as we sort of approach obviously we're looking forward to having it here in the UK. What kind of themes would you like people to take away and really think about? I mean, I know that wonderful quote you had from Mother Teresa about to change the world, go home and love your family. But what other themes would you like people to come away and really ponder about to make an impact in the world, to be a blessing?
Well, that's a good place to start for sure. Which, as you mentioned, spoiler alert, is sort of the closing synopsis of the film, and that is a Mother Teresa paraphrase. It says, if you want to change the world, go home and love your family. There's another great quote in the middle of it that John Locke himself, or Terry O'Quinn, who plays our granddad in the film, says, family, they're not in the way, they are the way. And it's an interesting time in human history, 2024. And when you snap back to 91, it was kind of the last frontier before, you know, the internet really took hold and smartphones really showed up on the scene. You could argue it was one of the last sort of frontiers of a bit more of a simple time, a localized time. And now you've just got all this information. You're sort of being pulled in 1,000 different directions. I think our hope is, obviously, as you well said, Stephanie, the people relate to it, like yourself, that they see themselves in it deeply. This is our story, but it's so much more a human story. And then secondly, that people will take a look at, you know, who is their family, and families look different shapes and sizes, but who is their family? And maybe, you know, instead of prioritizing all the other things in their life, they should make a beeline for some of the most important things, and that is usually the folks around us that are nearest to us.
Definitely. And one of the inspiring things that reminded me about being thankful, so the Thanksgiving and prayer, which your mother inspired, what is one of the things that, just to finish off, really kind of has inspired you on this journey of making the film and the whole real process of your creative journey?
I think with this, the film specifically, you know, obviously reflecting on family and seeing the power of family. I don't think that we necessarily have an epidemic of bad mothers in the world, but I do think we have an epidemic of bad fathers. And I think that for us to be a part of looking back and kind of going over this story, I think that what I realize is that family matters. Family is the thing that, you know, I've often said, if you want revival, you know, it probably starts at home, you know, because I've always heard that if you want revival, it starts at your home, then it goes to maybe your street, then your street turns into your town, and then your town turns into your city, and your city turns into your state turns into your country. Sometimes I think that we got a lot of people that want significant change spiritually, but we overcomplicate it. I mean, man, at the end of the day, as Mother Teresa says, as to any father out there that's watching this, man, if you want to change the world, go home, love your family, go take your kids for a bike ride, go weep with them as they weep over whatever might be going on in their life. Go home, love your wife, demonstrate what that real love looks like. And so my hope is that people walk away with obviously watching a movie and being entertained and having fun and all the different things. But hopefully, and this is one of the things that has come back a lot, is that people say, I need to go think about this for a couple of days. My hope is they go think about it, they say, why can't I have some of those things in my family? And I hope as they go on that journey, they can actually go, why not? I'm going to do it. That would be the greatest outcome, and really the purpose behind making this movie.
Yeah. So we have a wonderful world of love and peace, and the family being that incredible foundation, and your testimony and the way in which you put it together with your creativity and gifts is a blessing. So thank you both so much for chatting to me, and I really look forward to celebrating when the film gets here in the UK. So thank you so much, and we'll be praying for all of you here at Radio Maria.